ESG. There's been so much ESG talk. It sounds like something toxic they put in my Doritos. I don't understand. Elon Musk just bought 9.2% of Twitter. He's now on the board. He's talking about ESG, ESG this, ESG that. I'm not smart enough to unpack this, so we had to bring in someone who is the executive vice president of the great FreedomWorks, who I love, Noah Wall. Noah, what's ESG?
ESG is backdoor communism. So look, it's environmental, social, and governance factors. What that means is it's how they go about getting companies to care about things other than their bottom line. It's how they get them to not focus on a product or profit. It's how they get them to actually focus on things. It's how you get ExxonMobil to commit to going carbon neutral. It's how Starbucks is committing to do racial quotas in their management structure by 2025. It's how you get companies that are listed on the NASDAQ to actually commit to doing diversity hires on their board of directors. Those are ESG factors. That's what that is.
One thing I am confused about, though, Noah, because I understand the goal, and I certainly understand the communist portion of it, but how do you make them do that? I mean, these guys, these board members, certainly CEOs, you keep your job with your golden parachute 50 million based on how profitable you made the company, right? I mean, when you finally retire in 10 years, if the bottom line has sucked, but you did enough for the LGBTQ community, they're not going to give you an extra payout, right?
Well, except that, when you start getting these companies like BlackRock that start coming in and start pushing to get state pension funds and other large institutional investors to start asking questions about this, that's where you start to get those factors that are different than profit. So, it does come in through the back door, but, that's what companies like BlackRock, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, they're starting to prioritize this stuff, and it's becoming more and more significant as a result.
Speaking of companies like that, financial companies, here's this little video. I know you've seen it.
As of today, a bank or other financial service provider will be able to immediately freeze or suspend an account without a court order. In doing so, they will be protected against civil liability for actions taken in good faith.
Remember when they did that to the Canadian truckers? Noah, what does this have to do with the World Economic Forum and this goal? How does all this stuff tie together?
So what ESG actually means, when you get past the buzzwords, when you get past the top line activity, what it actually means is that they get to control they get to decide what factors go into ESG. And so let me give you a real good example from the last month, actually, after the Canadian truckers. So during the war in Ukraine, all of a sudden companies in Europe started to say, well, defense spending is now ESG friendly. And so because we got to help Ukraine, so we're going to go ahead and say all of a sudden, if companies want to help Ukraine, they get tax credits in Europe for doing through ESG by focusing on defense spending. So all of a sudden they get to decide. So when you talked about the World Economic Forum, that's how it all ties together, because World Economic Forum is one of the pioneers of ESG standards. And so if you have this global unaccountable institution, they get to push in and through the back door what priorities these companies should be spending their money on. So that's how it all ties together.
Don't miss Jesse Kelly Breaks History, The Forgotten Genocide, the first episode of a new series available now exclusively for First TV supporters. Visit the First TV app or thefirsttv.com to subscribe and start watching today.